Okay. Yeah, start with the stream when you're ready, Ben.
Bear with me. Yeah, we're ready to go, Councillor Pace.
Okay. Well, evening everybody, and welcome to the East Area Neighbourhood Forum. The last one in 2024. Anyway, short agenda tonight. And so can we just start with any apologies?
I haven't received any apologies for absence, Chair, unless you are aware of any.
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Item 2. Can we move on to the minutes? First of all, in terms of accuracy, are people happy with them?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of on the minutes, Emma, did you want to raise something?
Yeah, so you'd asked me to come back with a report and presentation on HMOs and looking at the regulatory work that we can do. And I'm pleased to say that we've kind of accepted a new policy on HMOs, and we've got some funding, which is from the GMCA. But with us preparing this report, we haven't had time to prepare you that additional report. So I've asked permission of the chair if we can put it to the January meeting, and we'll be able to give you some information and also give you perhaps a visit as well as part of that. So that would be our plan if you're happy with that. And it also allows we've got a number of officers who've contributed to the presentation tonight, so it allows us for them to do that additional work on top of the presentation they prepared for tonight.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Sounds fine. It sounds like a plan. And so that's great. So can we accept the minutes then?
Yeah,
somebody
that's
want
fine.
to second that?
Chair,
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, Chair.
could I just say also, I don't know whether Emma and Mike are aware, but we're also doing something on HMOs through the place scrutiny. So I with Gary Mong and so I don't know whether that's worth having a chat with them as well.
So Gary is part of my team.
Yeah.
And so he would be part of the team preparing the presentation for you here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exactly that. So I really welcome the scrutiny on this function of all across housing. So housing is split, almost across two departments. But yeah, absolutely, Gary's part of our team, public protection.
Sorry,
team.
it was just to not duplicate anything or anything like, obviously you've got it in hand, Emma, so I just thought I'd raise it.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just come in and tell people that don't know that the 8 HMOs at the Stocks pub on Stocks Lane has been passed by appeal? It's just horrendous, but anyway, that's it.
Very bad news, that.
Yeah.
It looks like a third world country now.
I know.
No, that isn't what we wanted at all, is it?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Anyway, we'll look forward to that discussion in January, and also with the private sector housing code and all the rest of it. And maybe I don't know whether you think it's worth Emma sort of perhaps getting somebody from GMCA along, but perhaps you can advise me as the best way to handle those two items together.
Yeah, no, I'll have a conversation with the team and we'll pull that together for you. So,
great, thank you.
Good one. Okay, so minutes. I also think I should say that I'm not being antisocial today. It's just that my computer, my video won't work for some reason. Best known to IT probably, but so I'm sort of here. I'm not recorded or anything. I'm not broadcasting from the cabinet room or anything like that.
We'll accept that.
Yes.
I don't think that's very likely.
Me neither.
Item 3, where are we going? I think Emma's going to introduce an item on enforcement.
So Mike's going to share the slides, and I'm just going to introduce it. And if I'll just wait for him to get the slides up. Always has an element of jeopardy about it. Thank you. So we have in the last 18 months, and it is I say this, it was very much as part of a response to the request of members for us to refocus our work within the communities on enforcement. And we did some redesigns within our neighbourhood and public protection departments to focus on enforcement within the community. Enforcement is always well matched with engagement, and that's the best way, because enforcement is costly. But we wanted to use the powers that we had as a local authority more effectively. And we heard from many members that they wanted to see, there's very few and a small proportion of our residents don't take seriously the assets and the beauty of the borough and all the facilities seriously, and perhaps don't look after it in the way that we would hope. But when that happens, we have to enforce as a local authority, and we have a number of powers available to us. So Mike, if you can go on to the next slide. To put this into context, I would also mention that for the last probably 12 months, we've had an enforcement panel. There are a number of members on this neighbourhood forum who are members of the enforcement panel, and we provide them with updates on our enforcement within the borough. They're able to ask us questions, and we do provide more detail about our investigations and the progress of our investigations and our powers. And we're also able to listen to the priorities that they would like us to pursue. And obviously we do enforcement as a local authority under our own powers, and we do it in conjunction with our colleagues in GMP, the Greater Manchester Police, but also people like the DVLA and their Health and Safety Executive and the Environment Agency. So those additional enforcement officers are available to us to work in partnership. And when we talk to you about Operation Avro, you will actually see that in action. So Operation Avro is a borough-wide enforcement day, and we've had one recently, and Mike's going to talk to you about that. But that's where we can strategically choose the action that we're going to take, having got intelligence from members and members of the public, and our own data that we have collected. So looking at this slide, you will see within public protection and within my service, the range of public protection enforcement departments and the various areas that we enforce and keep the standards for our general public. It's a wide range of services and themes, and we have a wide range of legislation that we can use in order to enforce our powers and keep the borough safe. In addition to this, we've also got community safety, and we're in this presentation, we will be giving you some information about that activity, specifically around antisocial behaviour. Antisocial behaviour has significantly two different levels. There are those antisocial behaviour laws which the police undertake, and there are those that are available to us as a local authority. So we work in partnership as a department and service, and in some cases we will choose different powers in order to crack a difficult nut. So these are the range that we have in public protection, and they are available to us in order to ensure that you have a clean and safe and profitable and economically booming borough. Okay, Mike is going to take on to our most recent activity, and he's going to talk to you about some of the specifics of enforcement activity that we've undertaken in the last calendar year so far.
Thank you, Emma, and good evening, everybody. So as Emma has said, over the past 2 years, the council clearly set a key priority of enforcement, and this slide shows the huge amount and huge array of enforcement that public protection have carried out this calendar year so far. So starting with food safety, there have been 773 food hygiene inspections to takeaways and food premises, pubs and other eateries across the borough. They've served 3 hygiene improvement notices where issues have been identified by the officers and improvement needed to be made. And alongside that, sometimes the officers can agree with the business owner that they will voluntarily close to get things straight, to avoid a formal notice being served, and work with the business to bring the standards up before then reopening to the public. In the same team with food hygiene, there's trading standards, who are managed by Bev Hursthouse, and there have been 8 prosecutions that are with legal currently. So they are in the main regarding illicit tobacco and seizure of illegal vapes, which is a huge issue for the borough and nationally as well. Everybody be aware of issues surrounding vapes and how they're very attractive to children and young people, and a great deal is being done to tackle that specific issue. You can see the huge numbers there of illicit cigarettes, hand-rolling tobacco and vapes. So yeah, that work is ongoing all the time, and we have an evidence store at Thames Street, which had to increase in size due to the number of seizures that the team are making, and regularly we arrange for those items to be taken away and disposed of appropriately. Onto my team in waste enforcement, you'll have seen very recently there's been several press releases, and throughout the year we've had 10 fly tipping prosecutions, which is the most we've ever had, and that is increasing year on year, along with the fixed penalty notices that the team are serving every day out across the borough. We receiving information from the public, receiving CCTV from the public and from our in-house CCTV team, and by proactive visits, checking through the waste. We've built great connections and great relations with operations and green space and the street cleansing team, training those operatives up so that they can also do work alongside the enforcement officers in identifying offenders, and it's paying dividends, because you can see there 275. That was at the time that the slide was written. However, as of today, it's on 283 fixed penalty notices, and increasing all the time. So far this year, we've had 2,027 service requests and reports of fly tipping, which you can see again, that is a huge number. And unfortunately, there are the irresponsible minority that will and are continuing to fly tip, but hopefully with increased enforcement and increased engagement, which of course, as Emma mentioned, is important, that we educate, but we also take firm action, and hope that the courts also hand down stiffer sentences in relation to waste enforcement. For parking, you can see as well, there's huge numbers in that area regarding illegal parking, both on and off street, and also bus lane contraventions too. Environmental protection team, they deal with nuisance related complaints regarding dust and many noise complaints. As you can see, so far this year they've had 95 requests and 11 noise abatement notices. One of those is in Eastern Stalybridge regarding a pub, which has breached that notice, and the team are looking to submit a licence review and also prosecute the licence holder in respect of that breach and ongoing breaches. The housing standards team, and they deal with many requests from the public reporting issues within their properties caused by neighbouring properties, dealing with complaints regarding landlords that haven't carried out effective repairs. And as you can see there, as been mentioned previously, the team are continuing to carry out Homes for Ukraine inspections, and as is stated there, HMO inspections. There we go, wouldn't move on there. So some of our enforcement highlights, as I've already mentioned there earlier regarding press releases, these are just the 3 latest waste prosecutions. The first one there regarding Leon's removal services, good one to highlight, because as we know, very often on social media, people irresponsibly advertise man in a van service to remove waste with or without a waste carrier's license, and unfortunately, often that waste then becomes fly tipped. Everybody, all householders, have a duty of care regarding their waste, and to ensure that they carry out checks regarding people that are removing rubbish from their homes, and check as a minimum that they've got a waste carrier's license, and get a receipt for the removal of that waste, just to comply with their own household duty of care. And yeah, in this case, there's a gentleman called Leon Gleave that was advertising on Facebook. His removal services carried out 2 removals from properties in Ardenshaw and Denton, and then tipped the waste in Ardenshaw, and we were left with the clean-up bill. I was pleased to see that he was charged a significant fine, which also covered the cost for clean-up, which we're also always grateful of the courts in those costs being awarded, so that we can cover our costs, which is important. And another case regarding dumping in the alleyway, we see that very frequently across the borough, unfortunately. Lots of our properties densely populated with unadopted alleyways, to the rear of which homeowners and residents are responsible for maintaining and keeping clear from and free from rubbish. We see it in Stalybridge, which was the focus of the last day of action in the borough, where we're visiting properties up in the Ridge Hill area, and dealing with that area, which is regularly fly tipped on. Overall, since that day of action, I have seen an improvement. I was disappointed to see again on Harrison Street on my way home earlier, there's some more fly tipping, which has been reported and will be dealt with tomorrow. In terms of licensing panel hearings, I manage the licensing team and can give you some updates of recent hearings and decades in Stalybridge. Greater Manchester Police reviewed the licence in respect of that premises. I'm aware of, obviously, the members in Stalybridge had supported that licence review in terms of highlighting the issues that the premises was causing on the town and on the residents who live nearby, regarding fights taking place outside, and trouble spilling out into the street, particularly late licensed premises. And I was pleased that licensing panel determined to reduce the hours of the license and amend conditions. Typically, and as is the right of license holders, the license holder has appealed that decision, so can continue to operate under the existing terms of the license. And also, frustratingly, you'll be aware of some significant court delays in the justice system. So we are waiting for that appeal to be heard. Another issue in Crown Point Tavern, which is in Denton, is also associated with responsible license holder. There was an incident that took place outside the premises. Unbelievably, the license holder was filming their own child attack another child, and there's large disorder outside. And again, the license was revoked. And both these premises, where there have been issues, we will continue to monitor and build evidence for further action. So I spoke earlier regarding days of action that have taken place. The last one was in Staley Bridge, in Ridge Hill. We had another one that took place today in Hyde. More successful enforcement action. 4 fixed penalty notices served today. And also, as I mentioned regarding engagement and engaging with residents, we are working with the community safety team and using some of their resources with officers to engage with residents, door knock, and find out what's causing fly tipping issues. See, people got the correct bins. Do they have any intelligence about who is causing the problem, so that we can focus our efforts on those people? And I think that connection with community safety is an important one to build upon for further days of action. So you can see the programme there, and the next one for this particular forum in January, we're going to be covering Staley Bridge again, and do also have further days of action in the new year in Duckingfield and Mosley. So, I mean, these days of action, it's important to mention that these are just profiling the good work that's being carried out every day, and we don't wait for a day of action to take action, and we will proactively visit areas and respond to information. So if you have any issues, or you know of anything, then please let me know, report it through the correct channels, and we'll deal with it straight away. Operation Avro, this, as Emma touched on earlier, is an operation that takes place across Greater Manchester. Greater Manchester Police focus their entire resources upon each district once a month, and it was our turn in September, and the new chief superintendent attended full council yesterday to introduce himself, and he, along with his team, worked closely with officers from public protection. There was some real good success stories from this Operation Avro, and it's been labelled actually as one of the best one yet that has taken place. There were 41 arrests during the day. It was a multi-agency day of action. Warrants were executed by the police for drug offences, sexual offences, and domestic abuse offences. Also, roadside safety checks were carried out on taxis and private hire vehicles, as well as vehicles carrying waste, and my team working closely outside Bailey Street at the tip, stopping vehicles that were carrying waste, making sure that people had the relevant waste carriers licenses, and that was also a very successful operation. Community safety team also were carrying out various engagement activities, talking to people regarding personal safety, crime prevention, road safety, and there were various stalls in town centres, libraries, and also at Tameside College. So yeah, that was the Operation Avro. But one of the key elements of this Operation Avro was work carried out by the Trading Standards team, and over recent months, there's specific intelligence that self-storage units were being used to house counterfeit goods, and the team planned, as part of Operation Avro, to visit a number of storage units with the police and in partnership with Wagtails, which is they have sniffer dogs basically, work in partnership with the police, and these sniffer dogs go into units, they go into shops and sniff out illicit tobacco and illicit goods. And as part of that intelligence was that, following the work that Manchester City Council have done in Cheetham Hill in tackling the warehouses that were storing counterfeit goods, as I said, that were being used, self-storage units were being used to house these goods, and the team seized nearly £500,000 worth of illicit goods, including clothes, sportswear, trainers, fragrances, Canada Goose jackets, all sorts of goods that were very high quality fakes, and work is now being carried out and investigations taken forward in terms of bringing those people to justice. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that specific piece of work. So again, just a reminder regarding fly tipping. Obviously, as I say, it's the illegal disposal of household waste, and we know the stats that I've mentioned earlier. It's a blight across the borough, and my team, whenever waste is dumped and it's reported, it's analysed in terms of the complaint and identify who is responsible for removing the waste, because we have to focus our resources on removing waste from public land, but also making sure that landowners remove waste from private land. And I know several of you recently contacted me regarding waste on private land, and we have had good results in making sure that landowners remove that waste. And also, we will also take enforcement action as well. It's not a matter of making sure that they remove the waste and then we step away. We will also support the landowner in identifying who's tipped it there and take the relevant enforcement action. As you can see, just updated figures that I provided last time regarding number of incidents that have taken place, and also that rise in fixed penalty notices served. As I've said already, we've had prosecuted 10 people so far. We have 3 trials listed where people have opted for a trial because they've pled not guilty. I've got 6 prosecution files that have been submitted to the courts and I'm waiting dates on. And I have a further 16 files which are being prepared. So those numbers are going to increase yet further. And that's an increase from 5 prosecutions that were carried out last year, which again in itself is a real success for the year before. So you can see that year-on-year increase, and I can't really understate the amount of work that it takes to prepare a prosecution file and get all the evidence together, get willingness from witnesses to cooperate, and interview the relevant offenders and prepare all that evidence is a significant amount of work. And just to give you some information regarding fixed penalty notices and where East fits across the borough, 18 of those fixed penalty notices are relevant to the East ward. It is our lowest area of incidents reported and enforcement taken. Generally speaking, the East neighbourhood is clean and tidy, which is a good thing. And we know where our hotspots are, and we focus our resources on those hotspots. And we'll continue to search for evidence and work with local neighbours to identify who's causing that problem. So yeah, that leads on to how we're tackling the issue and making it easy for people to report fly tipping, improving the app, and to say, making that journey for customers smooth to report the issues. Say we've increased and target our hotspots. We know that across the borough where the issues are and deploy the resources appropriately. Issues with days of action and making sure that we carry those out regularly and in each area, just to highlight that good work, as I said, making sure that we increase publicity. And also I mentioned last time regarding the CCTV camera. I'm pleased that we have identified a supplier for that CCTV camera, and that is progressing. So yeah, I expect that those cameras will be received soon, so that we can get those used and out into our hotspot areas. So Market Street and the particular issues, as members, we've worked closely with Stalybridge members on Market Street and addressing the issues that we know are particularly troublesome, particularly parking, following the work by the council to carry out the heritage action zone and widen the footpaths and carry out all the work on the highway. Disappointingly, we have seen people parking irresponsibly. Work's been carried out to try and limit that by putting street furniture in place, and also increased enforcement on parking. And I said earlier regarding those 16,000 PCNs that were issued across the borough, 589 of those have been issued on Market Street alone, which is not an insignificant number. Said earlier regarding waste enforcement, it's the irresponsible minority that are causing the issue, and parking services are continuing to visit Market Street regularly and serve the relevant notices and fines on those people responsible. In terms of waste enforcement, we know the issues regarding storage areas for bins, which have been a long-standing issue, and be aware that we've removed the bins that are provided by the council on Market Street. Be aware that obviously there's several premises which employ external commercial operators to carry out their waste collections and continue to have bins, which is a frustration. But as I've mentioned to members, we've served fixed penalty notices against businesses, which is important, because obviously those businesses that continue to have bins and have them overflowing and waste spilling out, making the area look a mess, it's important that we take appropriate action. And I have seen an improvement at least several times a week. I go down Market Street, keeping an eye on this situation, and make sure that it's being addressed, and where issues arise, they're dealt with quickly. In terms of ASB, the community safety team, these figures relate to reports for this calendar year, from January to September, and it's important to note that these are figures that have been reported to the council. They don't take into account any reports to the police or registered social landlords. you can see the distribution of those reports, and Duckingfield having had the most number of reports this year so far. I've spoken with the community safety team. The number of reports that have been received so far have seen an increase. There's been an increase from last year in number of reports to the council, and we work closely with the police and other partner agencies to resolve these ASB complaints. So the Resilient Communities Fund, that's a fund that's devolved from the annual grant which is provided to community safety partnerships, and the community safety partnership receive a sum of money from the Greater Manchester Mayor's Office, and that is distributed to charitable causes. And the charitable causes submit their application and need to link to several themes. The themes change year on year, and the themes for this year were preventing crime and reducing fear of crime, improving environmental resilience and challenges, reducing antisocial behaviour, and empowering communities. And I'm pleased that 8 groups were successful in receiving that funding, and I believe that it was a really successful night, and went down really well with those who participated. The CCTV service, you'll be aware that the council have an in-house control room, CCTV, and this service is obviously vital to ensure public protection, and the team are often the unsung heroes in terms of identifying issues, and will safeguard people and provide evidence to the police where necessary. And it's the vigilance of and skill of the CCTV operators that are working throughout the night and through the day to spot the issues, link in with the police, as I say, and make sure that people are kept safe. We have 301 cameras throughout the borough, and 137 of those in the public realm. And the team are spotting issues from fly tipping. We get reports from the team, criminal damage, catching drink drivers and reporting those to the police, and identifying and alerting Greater Manchester Police regarding wanted people, giving locations and leading them to their arrest. I say this is really important work, and it was recognised by the Chief Superintendent in 2022, and they received a commendation for the work that they do. As I say, it can't really be understated, the work that they do, because if they weren't monitoring the areas that they do, then criminals wouldn't be being brought to justice. And yeah, it's really a good piece of work. So that's the end of my slides. Emma, is there anything that you would like to add before we put it out to questions for members?
No, more just to say we always like to have feedback from you, and a number of you provide us with go straight to officers with evidence, and we're always happy to take evidence which has got, is a way that we can take to prosecution, and we also value conversation and engagement in terms of areas to improve. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll be happy to take any areas of suggestions, and hopefully we come back with you with a realistic, or we'll tell you what we're able to do and what we can't do. So we have a number of officers who work, personally, and you'll go straight to them, but do talk to us about issues in your ward and particular concerns to you, and we'll hopefully provide you with a response or with the legislation that can back us up in terms of taking action. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Emma. Thanks, Mike. And just sort of just to sort of kick us off, I mean, we've been involved in some very positive stuff, I think, on Market Street in Stalybridge, and also, in terms of the Action Day, which you organised for us, Mike, and which Christine had pushed for as throughout the year, and that was really positive in terms of what we did there. We've also in our ward up on Ridge Hill, we've worked with Jigsaw in terms of the Action Day they had. So I think one of the things we like to make sure we do in the future is link those two, link any work Jigsaw do with the work you do. And when we met them on a week last Friday, they were very keen to do that. So we'll certainly try and make that link. But it was very wide ranging. So thank you for that, and also thank you to all the officers in this area of work, varied area of work, who do a fantastic job really in terms of pulling things together and making the streets cleaner and safer. Now I know it's an uphill battle, but I think you all do admirably. Can we take questions, Ben? Who have we got?
Yes, Chair. So in the order that I saw the hands raised, so we've got Councillor Dickinson, Councillor Billington, and Councillor Tilbrook.
Okay. All right. Okay, Doreen.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Mine's a very easy question, but before I say that, I want to say that was a really, really good report. Enforcement, I'm thrilled to say, is improving. I mean, 2 years ago, we wouldn't have any reports like that. And I've also got to say, Mike, I know all the officers work hard, but you have my highest respect. You are everywhere doing everything, and how you do it, I don't know. But you do an absolutely brilliant job. Thank you. Right, my question is this Avro thing, and it might be me that totally missed it, but how did you communicate that to people? Because I don't remember seeing anything about it, and I just saw it. I think I saw it on Facebook or somewhere, and I thought, well, I never knew about that. So it's just how did they communicate it?
You okay for me to say that, Emma?
Yeah, it was communicated. It was a last minute scheduling thing, Doreen. I'll be honest with you, with the police. So we had to coordinate lots of different aspects of it. It was communicated in the week leading up, but just so
did an email go out?
I think an email did go out, Doreen,
well,
but
I must have
it was
missed
very
that.
last
That's
minute.
why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was quite last minute, I'll be honest with you. So, and in some of it, there wasn't communicated about what we were going to do, honestly.
Right. Okay, then that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. To give, for enforcement panel members, there will be more detail of the cases that we looked at. And obviously this is a public meeting, but you will get more detail about what was progressed in Operation Avro.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So that's at the end of October, isn't it, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Liam.
Yeah, it's just to echo what Doreen said. Things are improving, and that's great. And Mike and James recently helped out with a case near me, and that was very successful. And the housing association removed it that weekend, so it got done. That was, it took officer time, but thankfully didn't cost the council in the way that of removal. So that intervention as well, working with the landlord to make sure paid off as well. So that's important too. I just think, it is good, and, the communication is improved as well in terms of, the successes that we're having. And I hope through that we see a reduction in fly tipping and other incidents in the following years to come, as that becomes embedded in the mentality of people as well, that they aren't going to get away with it. So it is important. Would it be necessary to have more extra resource in preparing these reports, Mike? Because you're saying that they take a lot of time, and you know, you do a lot of work and so do the other officers there. But in the past, it has been that getting those prosecutions has been the weak point for the council. But if we can, you know, bolster that team where there's maybe dedicated support there for preparing these cases, perhaps then we could, you know, get more prosecutions through. So I was just wondering if that is something that is required and councillors can try and champion that to cabinet. Thank you.
Are you wanting me to answer that, Mike, or do you want to answer it?
I'd never, obviously, resources, you would never turn down extra resources. You can never have enough staff in terms of delivering positive outcomes. As we know, the council have got limited budget, need to focus that budget in relevant areas. But what I can say is that my team, I feel that we are adequately resourced, that we have, since the service review, which took place 18 months ago now, have increased the number of enforcement officers. And whilst they carry out a breadth of licensing and waste enforcement roles, we have got the right people in those roles. And yeah, I think that there's certainly capacity already there that we can continue to increase our enforcement action. Is there anything further you wanted to add, Emma?
I think, Councillor Billington, it's really helpful for members to say what they're hearing the community wanting us to prioritise, and it, you know, any advocacy around that is helpful for us in our planning. What I will say is we've tried to bolster some of our training on prosecution and evidence, pulling together evidence, and we'll continue to try to improve that. So putting good cases, solid cases together for prosecution is important. And then also educating members of the public of the kind of, you know, way that they can get involved in providing quality evidence when they have seen residents not abide by the law. That really helps as well. I think we've been advocating with, and members of council have met the new chief superintendent. We're trying to balance the priorities as part of a community safety partnership in terms of what the residents see as a priority, and making sure that working together as the whole borough, we're prioritising neighbourhood policing and neighbourhood enforcement. So that's really important. And I continue, whenever I speak with members, to, I know it always seems difficult, but that using the Crime Stoppers facility where people can provide anonymous information to the police, but also provide online log issues, especially in the neighbourhood areas. That really helps us gather together evidence. So you know, all of those things really help, and I appreciate suggestions that come through to us. I'll be honest with you, we prefer to obviously deal with you on a one, you know, and have those discussions than it being escalating as a concern. So I appreciate all of the, you know, on behalf of the whole team, and I know Mike's done, and Dave, James have done a great work, but right across the team, Bev's team as well, Gary Mungan's team, they do an enormous amount of work. So I will feed that back because it's their job and they do a brilliant job. So thank you for the positive comments.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for that. You know, just encourage you to sort of, if there is resource out there from GMCA, or even if we can get extra resource from something like the UK Shared Prosperity Fund or whatever, it might follow that. Then, you know, I think we would certainly all be behind that. Was it Dave Dave, we on next?
Yeah, we've got Councillor Tilbrook and we've got Councillor Beardmore as well.
Okay. Oh, well, I think Christine was behind Dave, wasn't she, sir?
Yeah.
You're in trouble now.
I know I might not get me tea now.
I just wanted to ask about this mobile CCTV for fly tipping. We've heard about it a couple of times in previous neighbourhood forums, and has it been on trial or? And it would just be good to know a rough timescale of when it's actually going to be coming online, and then how we can, as councillors, suggest areas where it could go to.
Yeah, so we did have a camera on trial. We had it on trial for 8 weeks. Obviously, there's several providers of this type of mobile deployable CCTV, and we need to make sure that we're getting the best CCTV cameras that we can get for the right jobs, that do the right job in the right areas, and that assessment does take time, rather than just jumping in and buying any old camera. We want to make sure that it's going to be the right one. So we've been working with neighbouring councils. We have a enforcement managers group in Greater Manchester, so looking at what other authorities use, which cameras they have, which ones, the pros and cons. Every system has a pro and con, and yeah, that analysis has been carried out to identify the appropriate contractors and suppliers that can provide it. So, like I said, I know I've given you talked around that answer earlier there, and I can't give you a specific date, but these I'd rather get the right system.
Oh yeah,
than have us just jumped in, bought a system, and wasted the money that we've got from the community safety grant. So yeah, I trust that is progressing at pace, at getting the right system. And as soon as we have got it, we'll communicate that with members. We'll share the list of hotspots that we've got, and the deployment of that CCTV will go based on where the data shows.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, Christine.
Oh, it was just really to echo Doreen and Liam and your points. Really, I think you've done an amazing job, particularly on Market Street, and I think it is paying off working with officers and members. I just wondered, Mike, could we have a copy of your slides? And two, you said you got a day of action in Staley Bridge. Could I ask where it is?
So I was actually looking at focusing around Market Street again, and engaging with the businesses and residents. These are what my thoughts are, because obviously we are aware of the issues that we've had ongoing there. We know the improvements that we've made, but I do think that some more awareness raising and engagement again with further businesses would be useful. So that's what I'm looking at doing. Make sure that all members are invited. And yeah, if you have any other ideas or other areas within Staley Bridge, just let me know, and I'll make sure that we cover those too.
Can we have your slides as well?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
We can get Ben to send them to you after.
Yeah, thank you. That's fine.
I think, they were in your, I hope you got them as papers, so hopefully you can.
Yeah, they are available as part of the pack as well.
Oh, right, okay. Beg your pardon.
Chair.
Have we any more questions from members, Ben?
No, Chair, we don't. And I've checked the inbox, and we haven't had any from the public either.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was just going to say that. well, in that case, can I thank Mike and Emma again for this evening and for the presentation. And as I say, just to repeat myself, and to all their officers for the work they're doing. And I think at that point, we'll close the meeting. And I think it's the next meeting in January, Ben, isn't it?
It is, yes, Chair. Let me just double check the date. It's the 22nd of January.
Okay, well, no, I'm not going to wish everybody a happy Christmas yet. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Good night.
Thank you, Chair.